Welcome back to Stamping at the Warren, and I'm Kim Tolton, and today I have a little card for you. I'm going to be changing the sentiment, but there are quite a few supplies that you're going to need. So the sentiment comes from the Sweet Sayings stamp set, which is in the current Stampin' Up Seasonal Spring Summer catalogue, as is the Celebration freebie, which is What I Love. And by the time you've purchased the other bits that go for today's card, you've probably spent your £45 to qualify for the free stamp set. So that's your stamp sets. I've also got the Wood Grain Textured Impressions embossing folder and the Confetti embossing textured impressions embossing folder, and then the cardstock that you need. You will need a piece of shimmery whisper white cardstock measuring 14 by 9.7 centimeters. You will need a piece of Blushing Bride cardstock, which measures 14.4 by 10.1 centimeters. You also want a strip of cardstock that is 14.4 by 2 centimeters. And then you need your card base, which as always is thicker whisper white cardstock measuring 21 centimeters by 14.8 centimeters, and then you score through the middle of the cardstock at 10.5, fold and burnish with your bone folder. You can pop that to one side. Actually, you can put your Blushing Bride, can go straight down on here, as we're not wrapping anything over onto here. So just a bit of fast fuse or whichever adhesive you like. And just pop that straight down onto your card base. There you go. Right, popping that to one side. This card, these flowers have been formed using a multi-step stamp set, which is the What I Love stamp set. And you can see the images here. So you have a very poorly defined stamp, a more defined stamp, and a very detailed stamp. And what you do is you build up those images, and by building them up you intensify the colour, and off you go. So onto some scrap, well, not scrap, it's not scrap at all, I'm fibbing, onto a piece of shimmery white cardstock. That's where we're going to be doing the bulk of our stamping for today. So I've got a couple of bits in case we need it. The two inks I'm using is Blushing Bride and Melon Mambo, which does differ slightly from the one I used in the original example. So you start with the least defined stamp. So I don't know if this will show up, but there's very little detail shown other than the actual outside detail. So you want to stamp that up, and you want three, or how many did we get on there? 1, 2, 3, 4. We actually got 5 on there, blimey. So when you are lining up your stamps on these photopolymer stamps, you can see there is a little tab, and what you want to make sure is that you keep all of the tabs in the same direction. That's how you line up. I keep all my tabs in the bottom left, and by doing that I know that every time I stamp I'm going to be doing it in the same way. I'm actually going to do just 3 flowers for this one. I think the 5 was too much. So that's your most least defined. Then you come in with the more defined. And we're still using Blushing Bride here. So again, look for that tab, make sure it's on the bottom left, and you will just about make out the detail of the stamp. If it doesn't match completely, it's not the end of the world. Because the real detailing comes with the next layer. So what you've done is you've intensified, you've doubled up on that ink, and you've got a bit more detail in some places than others. Swap your ink pad for a Melon Mambo. You can see by the colours on here, I use this a lot for watercolour technique, and the actual surface, I have used this so much that the surface of the ink pad is starting to break down, so I'm probably going to have to reorder it very soon. It is still quite juicy, but then I do use re-inkers. Right, one of these I'm going to do without removing any ink, so it's just going to go straight down as is. There. The next one I'm going to do is a second generation stamping, and in other words I haven't re-inked between there, and then the third one I'm going to do the same. There. You have 3 colours of flower from one ink pad. And it will give that variation on your card, which is superb. It's a great tip, and it's a great way of using the card. Next you need a pair of paper snips, and you're going to freehand cut out each of these flowers. You do need to leave a little bit of white around them just to help the detailing stand out, but only sort of a couple of centimetres or so. And again, it's quite an irregular shaped flower, so because you've got layers of colour, it won't really show if you are not completely following the pattern. The main thing with using scissors to cut out elements for your cards is you should be rotating your cardstock and not your scissors. I don't know if you can see here, but my scissors remain static, or pretty much static, the whole time. And there you go, that's the first one done, didn't take long. And in with the next one. And because this one is darker, it's easier to see the outline of the image. So you can be a little bit more accurate, and it will give you, as a result, it will give you 3 different sized flowers, or slightly differently shaped flowers, and a bit of both. But then nature isn't perfect, is it? And no 2 flowers are the same in nature, so it really doesn't matter. We are all so obsessed with perfection these days, and actually nature is the most imperfect of all, and surely we should follow that model since they represent the majority. Because there's far more non-human creatures out there than there is human, isn't there? Scary but true. Here I am, still going round by rotating the cardstock and not my scissors. Almost done. These to me look rather chrysanthemum-like, or carnation-like, I think. Yeah, carnation-like, which I guess is quite in keeping because you could easily use this as a wedding card. There you go, 3 flowers. And we're just going to add a little bit of dimension to these by snipping to the centre of each one. And you can use different points, reference points. The main thing is you're going into the centre. And the centre is clearly defined in there. And a little bit of Tombow. You could also use the fine tip glue pen, and you just want to apply the tiniest amount of glue along one little edge, and you just about overlap it. That's all. You don't need to overlap it any more than that. I'll leave that one to dry. Same with this one, tiniest little bit of glue down the bottom here, and just slightly overlap the two. Tombow's great for this because it dries so quickly. And then your last one, just the same, just the tiniest little bit of Tombow. Really doesn't take very much, and then just overlap it again. And there you have 3 flowers. And whilst those dry completely, we can get on and do a bit of embossing. So your sentiment you want to put in the middle of here, and I'm going to use basic black for that. Now this ink pad hasn't been used before, so I'm just going to make sure it is stamping cleanly. Sometimes you have to condition stamps before you start using them. So this time I'm doing the They Say It's Your Birthday. Yeah, that looks good. And you want to get that roughly in the middle of that cardstock. So this is the shimmery white cardstock that we trimmed to size. Just whilst I give that a moment to dry, we're going to, so I can pop all my little bits to one side so I can get the big shot up here. Just move my stamps. Need to swap my magnetic plate for the multi-purpose plate, and you want this on tab tab 1 for embossing. So to start with, we're going to use the wood grain and take that little 2 centimetre piece of cardstock and just pop it inside anywhere in there. And this is going to create almost a faux tied ribbon effect. So you want a cutting plate on the bottom, then your cardstock in the embossing folder, then a second acrylic plate. And through that goes. Now I know my big shot's getting old and I talk about shims. You don't want too deep a cut. This one can get a bit deep, so I'm not using my shim with this. So that's the wood grain. And then we want that stamped one. And just decide if you want the embossed side or the debossed side. Doesn't really worry me either way. And you can see through the embossing folder to make sure you've got it nicely centered. Hold on to that whilst you put your top cutting plate, and I keep holding on until I'm ready to drop down and roll, just to stop it from moving. There we go. And that is the big shot finished with. And there you have your little sentiment, which is your top layer. It's quite pretty, isn't it? Right, in come our 3 flowers. And you're just going to pop a Stampin' dimensional on the back of each. Just the one. Oh, got geese going over the top of the house. Seems a bit late for them. It's very dark here right now. Can't believe they're going over. Right, so I've got my 3 flowers. Then we want this piece and we want our card base. And you also need the Love Blossoms embellishment kit. We're going to be using some goodies from in there. Right, so what we need is some blushing bride ribbon, and you just want to tie a bow with this, and always have your loops going away with you. If you have equal sized loops, you won't get in a pickle with tying. And I don't trim off any excess until I'm happy. And then just pull on the ends. This is beautiful Blushing Bride satin ribbon. I love it. Wish it was in the catalogue all the time. Right, now I'm happy with my bow, so I can cut off the excess. That came out like pants. That's better. And the same on this side. There we go. There's one little bow. And that's the ribbon finish with. Right, now we just assemble. The first thing to do is to pop this down onto our card base. So I'm going to pop some fast fuse. I'm using the embossed side, so the side that is all raised, but equally pretty is the debossed side, and either side would work equally well with this. What I could have also done in hindsight is actually use vellum for the overlay here, and I think that would have looked really, really pretty. Next is your little strip of cardstock that's going to go along here. Just pop that on. And that goes right down at the base there. And then your flowers are going to overlap along here. And give them a little bit of a press just to flatten them out a little bit. last one. And that's my husband telling me dinner's in 5 minutes. I'm going to put my little bow in here. So I just need a few glue dots for that. There is a lot of products in this card, there's no denying, but I think if you are making a special card for a special someone, what the heck, why shouldn't you? And I'm using Blushing Bride, the Blushing Bride, so we're keeping everything really coordinated. It's almost like strawberries and cream, don't you think? I think so. And then I'm just going to use some of these beautiful pearls to go in the centre. These are metal rimmed pearls. And the easiest way of getting the backing off is just to pop your paper piercing tool in the back. Pop it on, pop it in. And they come in different sizes, which is nice. I like that. I like different sizes for things. 2, and let's have a third. And 3. There you go. And then your final little bit is a few little bits of this pearl trim in the embellishment kit. And you're just going to feed that in and through your bow. If you put a glue dot in the centre of one, I've lost my glue dots now, there they are, put them back in the box. So if you pop a couple of glue dots and then you can feed it through your ribbon. And secure it on with that glue dot. And there you have it. What do you think? Oh, I did put a few other things on there, look. Put some of these little beauties on. Where are we? I left them especially for this project. Let's have a look. I might have run out. Oh no, that means I'll have to get another embellishment kit. Oh, I had some little resin dots, but no, I've used them all. Right, so what I shall do then, I'll use one of these little wooden heart elements, which are self-adhesive, I think. What are they? I thought they were. No. Oh well, glue dot time. Getting the most out of my glue dots being out. I don't use them very often. So we'll tuck a little love heart down there instead. And yeah. So let's clear away all this debris. And there you have 2 cards, and in my usual way, slightly differing, but hey, who wants every card to be the same? That's the joy of card making. So you can see the difference. In this version here, I used Blushing Bride and Real Red, Rose Red ink. And in this one, I've used Blushing Bride with Melon Mambo. Tell you what, in the comment section, you tell me which one you prefer. Do you prefer the Real Red flowers or the Melon Mambo flowers? I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for watching today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget that all of my social media details are in the Show More section beneath today's video. And also, if you want to follow my community board, Pinterest community board, follow it, and then I'll send you an invitation as long as I see you have an interest in papercraft. And just general, I don't expect you, it could be scrapbooking, it could be making mini albums, it could be any sort of papercraft. Doesn't have to be Stampin' Up, and I can send you an invitation to start pinning on the board so we all share each other's ideas. And the full details of today's project will be on my blog, which will already be live if you're watching this. If it's not on there, it's only moments away where I'm syncing both the video to the blog. So just pop back in 5 minutes and you'll probably find that everything's fine. And it have all the dimensions, full tutorial on there for you. So you can leave comments in whichever place you choose. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm off to have my dinner now because I've done 7 videos in one day, and that's pretty challenging, especially as we didn't start too late because we had an appointment at midday. And yeah, it's been a bit of a challenge, but you'll be seeing all the videos over the next week anyway. And I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow. Thanks for now. Bye.